Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
Making news this hour, new information released regarding a body found under a bridge on San Antonio's northwest side.
And the man accused of shooting 10 people on a Brooklyn subway train is due in court today.
The season comes to an end for our San Antonio Spurs, also the end and beginning of an era for Becky Hammon. Details coming up.
Tough game. And looking outside with live cam, we're starting at 63 degrees. And looking forward to another warm day.
Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday. It is April 14th, and I feel like we should put a box of Kleenex at every major intersection in San Antonio and surrounding areas right now.
We'll start here.
I know, and you've done pretty well so far with the oak pollen, but it's got you this week, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It did. And I didn't think I had allergies, but towards the end of the week, yeah.
Well, that's kind of a litmus test for everybody, I think. There are people that are suffering right now from oak pollen allergies that maybe don't normally suffer, as just like Steph said. Justin's here with more on that, and another very warm day yesterday, although it was drier, like you guys said.
It was a dry heat, so there's always that. Yeah, the oak has been really bad. We're going to show you some of those numbers a little bit later. The temperatures yesterday, we're going to throw a lot of numbers at you here. We're up there. We got up to 98 in San Antonio. Not a record. The record was 100, but you see some triple digits on the map. Got up to 105 in Cotulla, 101 in Laredo, 97 in Eagle Pass. It was hot. Temperatures are having a hard time cooling off this morning. They're getting there, but we're in the mid-60s right now here in San Antonio. You see some 40s in places like Junction and Ozona, where the air is really, really dry. A little closer look here, 62 Helotes, 54 Bernie Stage, 63 Canyon Lake. My hope is that these numbers at least fall off a few more degrees before we start our warming up process today. And here's what the forecast looks like. 59 by 7 o'clock, 67, 10 a.m. by noontime, we're at 76 and sunny. Winds will be lighter today, not as strong as yesterday, but still in the 5 to 15 mile per hour range. I think we get up to about 86 this afternoon, so better than that 98 yesterday. Feels a little bit better. We've got some changes headed our way for Easter weekend, maybe some small rain chances and there's some thunderstorms. We're going to time it out for you and show you that forecast coming up in just a bit.
Thank you, Justin. We are learning new information about a case where San Antonio police say the bodies of a man and woman were found under a bridge on the city's northwest side. Now, according to the medical examiner, the man has been identified as 36-year-old Rick Stepp. The ME also says the cause of death was from gunshot wounds. The woman who was found has not been identified. Now, police say someone passing through that area made the discovery underneath the bridge in the 5400 block of Evers Road and called authorities around 6:30 on Tuesday night. Investigators say there was evidence that the man and woman were living in that drainage ditch under the bridge.
This morning, new information about the man accused of attacking that New York City subway. Sources say he called the police on himself.
ABC's Faith Abube has more.
Today, the man accused in the Brooklyn subway mass shooting faces a federal terrorism charge in court.
Oh my God, y'all, they caught him.
Sources say Frank James called a Crime Stoppers hotline, telling officers he had seen his picture on the news. He gave officers a description of what he was wearing and said he might be at a McDonald's on Manhattan's Lower East Side, charging his phone.
I thought the police, this is that guy. He did the problem in Brooklyn.
Authorities did not find James at that McDonald's. The manager of a nearby flower shop says he notified an officer who was stopped at a red light.
After that, police officer told me, "You sure?" I said, "I'm not sure, police officer, but you can go and check." And that's how they get him.
There's no word on who, if anyone, will get the $50,000 reward for leading police to James.
My fellow New Yorkers, we got him.
Nearly 30 hours earlier, police say James boarded the subway, detonated 2 smoke bombs, and opened fire, wounding 10 people. All are expected to survive. Investigators say they found 2 bags, one containing fireworks and a Glock pistol traced back to James. Despite a criminal record, he was able to buy the gun legally in Ohio 11 years ago because he had never been convicted of a felony. Investigators also released new evidence, including video they say shows James entering the subway station, along with video that captured the U-Haul James rented in Philadelphia on a bridge in New York several hours before the shooting.
And as for Frank James, new reports say he recently spent about $100 at a store in Wisconsin to buy smoke bombs and fireworks. He has addresses in both Wisconsin and Philadelphia. Faith Abube, ABC News, New York.
Two men in Washington, D.C., charged with impersonating federal agents for the last 2 years have been released on home detention as they await trial. The decision came after 3 days of prosecutors and defense lawyers arguing over whether the men had foreign ties or were operatives of a hostile government. Court documents show the defendants are accused of posing as officers of Homeland Security since at least February of 2020. And in a stunning twist on Tuesday, the federal judge in the case said the Justice Department's arguments were, quote, overblown, end quote, and he ruled that prosecutors had not met the legal standard required to keep either man in jail.
The Select House Committee investigating the January 6th riot is set to receive more documents from the National Archives. Former President Donald Trump had tried to assert executive privilege to keep the documents secret. President Joe Biden waived that privilege. An archivist sent Trump a letter informing him that the documents would be sent to the committee on April 28th. It's not clear what they contain. The documents previously provided to the committee by the National Archives included phone records and White House visitor logs.
In the Philippines, death toll from a major tropical storm has now risen to at least 76. The storm, which made landfall in the Philippines Sunday, has affected more than 920,000 people. It's also left more than 200,000 people displaced.
And time now 4:36 and 63 degrees for now.
Still ahead on GMSA, look at some of the latest pet tech that can make being a pet owner a little easier.
And they fought hard, but the San Antonio Spurs just couldn't get the win last night in New Orleans. We're going to have the highlights next.
Checking traffic right now, thanks to our friends over at TransGuide right now. And there's nobody out there, 1604 and Kyle said, okay, I was wrong. There's two people saying, no, Mark, we're up. But the roads look great right now.
Yeah, don't forget about us.
Don't forget about us, Mr. Austin.
Yes, also literally a few people traveling there on this shot as well. Taking a look outside with live cameras starting at 63 degrees. We'll be right back.
Spurs in New Orleans last night, taking on the Pelicans in the play-in game. Devin Vassell with the hot hand early, connected on a pair of threes to push the Spurs out in front. Early foul trouble for DeJounte Murray and Jakob Poeltl allows the Pelicans to take a 4-point lead going into the second. That lead would grow to 10 before back-to-back threes from Vassell and Trey Jones to keep things close. But C.J. McCollum was a monster last night for NOLA. 19-point second quarter for a season-high 25 in the first half to lead the Pelicans to an 11-point lead at halftime. Didn't get much better from there for our Spurs. McCollum would end the night with 32 points to help New Orleans beat the Spurs 113-103. Devin Vassell led San Antonio with 23 points. DeJounte Murray had 16. So our season comes to an end. And meanwhile, after 8 years as a San Antonio assistant coach, Becky Hammond officially now assumes her new position as head coach of the WNBA Las Vegas Aces. Coach Pop said he would miss Becky's contributions to the team. Let's talk baseball. Rough night for the Missions baseball last night. Back to forth battle between the Missions and the Frisco Rough Riders. Two clubs traded leads throughout most of the game. However, it was Frisco who spoiled the night with a 9-6 final. Series continues tonight at 7:05 out at the Wolf. UTSA Roadrunners wrapping up spring workouts when they hold their annual spring football game tonight at Ferris Stadium. It's coming up their best season ever in school history, included their first ever Conference USA championship. Now they will be working to replace stars such as running back Sincere McCormick, cornerback Tariq Woolen, and kicker Hunter Duplessis. Head coach Jeff Traylor, who's about to enter his third year as Roadrunners head coach, is armed with a new 10-year, $28 million contract. He believes the spring game only benefits the fans and the media.
There was a day where this was a huge eval, and you put it out there. This is going to be your next year's team. With the transfer portal, who knows? I mean, I even talked to my staff, should we change the way we do it? I mean, should it be, the kickers having a kickoff and, quarterbacks having some type of throw off, and should the O-line play the D-line and some type of tug of war and stuff? I mean, what should spring game look like anymore?
It could be just fun, Coach. Yeah, as long as nobody gets hurt. UTSA spring football game will be tonight, 7 o'clock over at Dub Ferris Stadium.
All business.
All business.
Just for now. Time now 4:42 and 63 degrees. New tech isn't just for people. We're going to show you some wearable tech made just for your pet.
And as rents rise and home prices spike, a first look at how you can get the biggest bang for your buck in this crazy housing market.
Welcome back. It's about 4:45. Housing prices are continuing to soar and there isn't much supply on the market right now. However, there are ways to beat the rising cost. ABC Ariel Rochef has the details of today's GMA First Look.
In this morning's GMA First Look, Inflation Nation. As rents rise and home prices spike, how can you get the best bang for your buck in this housing market?
Well, we're really seeing people getting squeezed entirely out of the housing market. Even though wages have gone up, they've not been able to keep pace with the rapid increases that we've seen in home values. And there just isn't much supply on the market. And of course, as mortgage rates go up, builders will be less willing to continue to build homes for the market. And that means the supply remains constrained.
Experts predicting some relief will come in the fall, giving tips to future homebuyers on what they can do to get the best offer possible.
Being flexible with some of the terms can go a long ways towards making an offer appealing.
And coming up at 7 a.m., more expert tips you need to beat the rising costs. With your GMA First Look, I'm Ariel Rochef, ABC News, New York.
Wearable technology for your pet. Having your dog or cat run off can be nerve-wracking.
Definitely. Now GPS-equipped trackers claim to be able to help you find your furry friend. 12 on your side's Marilyn Ward shows us how it works and what you need to know before you buy one.
The longer Hubert's gone, the more worried I got.
When the Markert family cat Gromit dashed out the door one night, they weren't too worried,
And he ended up being gone for 3 weeks.
Now Gromit is sporting an electronic tracking device. It keeps a 24/7 running tab on his whereabouts using a combination of GPS and cellular signals. Consumer Reports tested pet trackers to see how easy they are to use and how well they track your precious pet.
You create a safe zone on a map on your smartphone app. Every time the dog leaves that zone, it alerts you on your smartphone.
Scott Mendence did some real-life testing, tracking his dog, Luna.
So far, she's never run away for a long period of time, but if she did, I know that I'd be able to figure out where she is.
CR says it's best to choose a device that uses both GPS and cell service. That means you'll pay for a subscription plan, but it gives you extra tracking range. Many trackers also offer a lost or live mode feature, updating your pet's location more frequently if it wanders out of the safe zone. This top-scoring Tractive GPS Dog LTE offers the best pricing of those tested. It's $50 for the device, plus $84 for the first year of service. It's also light enough for your cat, if you can convince him to wear it. Marilyn Moritz and Kinsler, KSAT 12 News.
Check traffic right now, 447, and still very light traffic out there at 1604 at Kyle Seal Parkway, not too far away from UTSA's main campus. You see that humidity and dust and pollen just kind of hanging in those streetlights out there right now.
That's right. Weather kind of doing a number on people's allergies this week.
Yep. Justin's here with more on what to expect for the rest of the week. We've made it to Thursday. Congratulations.
Woohoo. Yeah, you know, between the Spurs and the oak pollen, I feel like people are grumpy this morning. We're going to get out of that.
The potential is high.
Yeah, it is. It'll get better, I promise you. The weather this morning is going to be pretty nice. We got temperatures in the 50s and 60s. I want to show you the temperature extremes across the country. It's been sort of a wonky setup here. We've had really warm temperatures down here across Texas. Yesterday, I got up to 110. Falcon Lake, that was the warmest place in the country by far. And then as you go north, the cold temperature yesterday was -18. Just to give you some perspective here, that was up in Wyoming. You can see the huge difference between the high and low, 128 degrees. And that was due in large part to this big storm system here that was producing blizzard-like conditions across the Dakotas and that really warm weather where we are. We've got the dry air in place. Temperatures are trying to fall a little bit this morning. 64 degrees at the airport. Dew point is at 43. We've got a northeasterly wind at about 10 miles per hour. Still gusting to 21. It's not going to be as windy today, though, as it was yesterday. 46 up in Junction. That's where the air is really dry, so temperatures are falling off a little bit quicker there. 61 Hondo, 62 Pleasanton, 61 right now New Braunfels. Mostly 60s. You'll find some 50s as you get up into the higher elevations there in Kendall County. 59 right now in Comfort. Temperatures aren't as cool as we had hoped this morning. I think that's due in large part to these dew points. 40s, that's plenty dry, but not as dry as it could be. You look west, dew points, and you don't see these very often. In the negative numbers, -5, the current dew point in Midland, -6 in Lubbock. I mean, this air is extremely dry across West Texas, and that's why there's still going to be a fire threat there today. Our fire threat is really diminishing, and we're going to get more moisture as we get into tomorrow. Dew points shoot up into the 60s, and we're hoping that there will be enough moisture in place over the weekend that maybe we can get a few showers and storms. Obviously, we don't want to interrupt your Easter plans, but any rain we can get at this point would be a pretty good thing. Forecast, 60 degrees at 6 o'clock, 59, 7 a.m. That'll be kind of where we bottom out. 67, 10 o'clock, 72 by 11 a.m., and by 3 p.m. we're at 84. Notice that we've got southeasterly winds starting to kick in by the afternoon, and they'll be in the 5 to 15 mile per hour range. Let's jump forward to tomorrow. This is 7 a.m. on your Friday. I think as this moisture comes back in, we could see a little bit of drizzle tomorrow morning, so there could be some wet roads for the morning commute. Anything we see is going to be very, very light, then the clouds scatter out by the afternoon. For your Saturday, same story. Morning clouds early, and then by the afternoon, this is 5 o'clock Saturday, we're seeing a couple of isolated thunderstorms. Now, the best chance of that's going to be north of us, but we are going to put in a 20% chance on Saturday for a hit or miss storm. On Sunday, we get a little bit of a boundary coming in. That may enhance our rain chances slightly. 30% chance on your Sunday, and I think that's mainly late in the day. So let's check in on that Easter forecast. Temperatures in the morning, close to 70 with cloudy skies, then some breaks in those clouds, and we'll put in a 30% chance of a storm late. 94 degrees, though, and it will be humid, so a heads up. It's going to feel pretty toasty for your Easter. 85 tomorrow, 95 Saturday, 94 on Sunday. There are those hot temperatures over the weekend. It does cool down some Monday and Tuesday, and more rain chances by Wednesday. Next week looks a little more active. And yes, we may have to contend with some storms, but we need the rain.
Mm-hmm. But I like your forecast with the little peeps.
Yeah,
Very
you know,
appropriate.
Peeps is always like a controversial topic, right? You know, you either love them or you hate them. It's a whole thing.
I don't like eating them, but I like that they're there.
Yeah.
And they're pretty to look at.
Is it weird that I like squishing them?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of entertainment sometimes.
It's okay.
I said that out loud, didn't I?
Yes,
I
you
do
did.
have my Easter egg tie ready for tomorrow.
Yes.
Beautiful. Tomorrow.
Awesome.
Tomorrow. Yeah. So 4:52, about 63 degrees.
And coming up next, fans of the Kardashians will have to look somewhere else for their shows, plus a look at the newest version of Swimming with Sharks.
The Kardashians get a new home. Plus, a new version of Swimming with Sharks debuts on Roku.
For the latest of what's happening in Hollywood, here's ABC's Jason Nathanson.
I think it's time to see a whole new side of the family.
The Kardashians are moving into their new home today on Hulu, launching the latest reality series that follows the clan. And Kim Kardashian says this show will be different from their E-Channel series in that they're not always together like they once were.
This time it's definitely like more documentary style, and I think that you'll see each of us and what we do individually in our daily lives, and then how we come together, for our dinners and our sister time and stuff like that.
You'll get a new episode of The Kardashians every Thursday on Hulu.
What you think means nothing.
What you feel means nothing.
You are nothing. You're an intern.
Kiernan Shipka and Diane Kruger are Swimming with Sharks, stars of a new show that updates the 1994 Kevin Spacey movie about horrible Hollywood bullies. Kruger plays the vicious head of a Hollywood studio, telling me the biggest change to their story is that women are now in charge.
Now it's 2022, and we're women in these positions of power, finally, right? Or to a certain extent anyways, and what that means for us, in terms of wanting it all, wanting a family, wanting a happy home life, how to navigate our newfound power.
Swimming with Sharks debuts Friday on the Roku channel. More life for Life in Beth. Amy Schumer's semi-autobiographical Hulu dramedy is getting a second season. Season 1 premiered last month to strong reviews. And Oscar-winning actor Adrian Brody with a birthday today. He's 49. And that's what's happening in Hollywood. I'm Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Los Angeles.
And oddly enough, he's doing a pretty good job playing Coach Pat Riley in the Lakers series on HBO, future Coach Pat Riley.
That's pretty cool. I'll have to check it out.
4:57, about 63 degrees.
And still ahead on the war in Ukraine, the presidents of 4 countries on Russia's doorstep are underscoring their support for Ukraine in a visit to the embattled country.
Plus, a popular Easter tradition is returning to San Antonio's San Fernando Cathedral.
And a quick look at the roads with TransGuide. There's that quiet road there at Loop 1604 at Kyle Seal Road. We'll be checking in with Stephen Cavazos very soon. He's here.
Live from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
The United States will send another $800 million worth of aid to Ukraine. I'm Micah Jachi reporting in Washington. Coming up, a look at what's in the aid package.
Outside with live cam, 63 degrees, not bad for your early Thursday morning, but there is a 100% chance you're going to take a shower in some oak pollen today here in South Texas. The fun continues, and Justin's going to have a pollen count update for us. Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, the 13th.
The 14th.
14th,
The
sorry.
only reason I know today's my 10-year anniversary with my husband.
Oh, well, happy anniversary.
Yeah. So good thing thank you. Good thing I remember, right?
Yes, right? That's the kind of stuff that can get somebody in trouble.
Yes,
absolutely.
Definitely. Justin.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
My present to you is some oak pollen.
Happy anniversary.
No, not for real. I'll get you guys something. But anyway, it is bad, as you guys alluded to. Those numbers are just, it's not fun when we get to this point. When you start getting into this 15, 16,000 range there, it's pretty awful. Everything's kind of coated in that yellowish, greenish pollen. Looks like the trees are still going, so we're going to probably see these numbers stay elevated throughout the rest of the week. Molds and grass in the low category. Obviously, this is yesterday's count. We'll get today's count in here in a couple of hours. Let's go outside for you. Clear skies, beautiful. 63 degrees at the airport, 67 Stinson, 64 Kelly, 61 at Randolph. We've got east-northeasterly winds right now. Still a little bit breezy. That's helping to keep temperatures up just a little bit more this morning, along with some slightly higher dew points. So I was hoping we get into the 50s, and we may in a few spots, but here in San Antonio, we've kind of been stuck in the 60s. 59 Kerrville, 54 Fredericksburg, and noticing that we're down to 61 in Helota, 66 Castroville. Everyone's looking at clear skies, by the way. And the forecast for today takes us up to about 76 by noontime, and then a high temperature of 86, which sounds a lot better than yesterday's 98 that we had here in town. Rain chances, do we have any more shots at some showers? We do, Saturday and Sunday. I know it's Easter Sunday, but the good news here is I think it'll be isolated and probably late in the day. We're going to jump into that forecast a little deeper, get you some details coming up here in just a few minutes. But Steven is joining us this morning. Good morning on this Thursday.
Yeah, good morning. And you know what? I like the way things are looking at this hour. Let's get a look and drive around town. 1604 at Pat Booker. The roads are quiet and we're not really seeing a lot of activity out there. It's still a very young morning. 5:02. We typically don't start to see congestion, probably not in the next 2 hours or so. But right now, smooth sailing for anyone that does have to head out the door in the next few moments. But always be alert. Keep both hands on the wheel, both eyes on the road. That's the best way to go. As we get that wide look at the map, we're not spotting any yellow or red. We're just seeing a whole lot of green. So that's a great way to start a new morning. And keep in mind, as I mentioned, no need to rush out the door. And that same goes if you're traveling in from any of these communities. Right now, for our friends up in Bernie, I-10 eastbound to downtown San Antonio is a 25-minute drive time for you. 28 if you're traveling in from 281 southbound and Bulverde, and 25 minutes on I-35 southbound coming in from New Braunfels. So for our friends outside of San Antonio, you're going to have a nice drive into the downtown area. But let's get one last look around town. 35 north at Loop 410. This is a short traffic hit, but coming up a little bit later on in this newscast, we do have some road work to be on the lookout for. Again, that'll be coming up in the next few minutes. Mark, Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephen. New this morning, police searching for a person involved in a shooting.
This is happening on the city's south side, and our Jonathan Cotto joins us live from the apartment complex where it happened. Good morning, Jonathan. Now, we know the incident happened overnight. What have you been able to learn so far?
Good morning, Stephanie. Good morning, Mark. Well, right now we do know that the victim involved in the shooting has been taken to University Hospital in what police are telling us critical condition. We do know San Antonio police were called out to this apartment complex, the Rosemont at University Park, close to 2 o'clock this morning. This is near 410 and Pleasanton. They say there were 4 men and 2 women inside an apartment having drinks. When the guests were asked to leave, police tell us that's when a fight broke out, and one of the men had a gun and shot the 17-year-old victim. Now, Mark, Stephanie, it is important to note the gunman took off and left the scene with another man and a woman in a white SUV. Of course, this shooting remains under investigation. Reporting on the city's south side, Jonathan Cotto, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Jonathan. Now to the war in Ukraine. The war-torn country will soon be getting additional military aid from the United States.
It comes after President Joe Biden and President Volodymyr Zelensky held a lengthy phone call. ABC's Ika Jachi is in Washington with more.
This morning, another showing of support for war-torn Ukraine. The presidents of 4 European countries, Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, traveling to Kyiv to meet President Volodymyr Zelensky, underscoring their solidarity with Ukraine. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden speaking with Zelensky over the phone, unveiling a new $800 million aid package to Ukraine that's set to include long-range artillery systems, ammunition, armored personnel carriers, and additional drones and helicopters.
We tailored this list specifically to meet the needs that they have asked for with respect to what's going on in eastern Ukraine. That's what's really driving this.
The aid coming as Putin repositions his troops for that eastern assault. Satellite images showing his forces on the move. Armored vehicles and support equipment are ready to attack. In the eastern city of Kharkiv, military experts claim cluster bombs are being used to attack the city and terrorize civilians. Local officials say at least 7 people died from the latest attack, including 20 who were wounded. The Russian Defense Ministry says they're seeing attempts of sabotage by Ukrainian forces in Russia. They're now threatening Ukraine's capital, saying if such activities continue, the Russian armed forces will conduct strikes on decision-making centers, including those in Kyiv. Russia claims over 1,000 Ukrainian forces have surrendered in Mariupol. Ukrainian authorities haven't confirmed it. Ika Jachi, ABC News, Washington.
Recent trucker protests at the border causing problems for local companies already battling higher freight costs. Produce companies in town say they've seen the cost jump anywhere from 63% to 150%, and that's just in the last couple of months. They say any slowdown in produce coming from Mexico can impact their bottom line if it's delayed for too long. And they do want to calm the fears, though, saying that Texans will get the food they need. It just might cost more.
Everything is definitely going to be costing more, and with inflation and with everything, the rising costs, you're going to see us paying a lot more money.
Human beings have a tendency to work together. They fix it, we get on down the road. It's just a little hiccup right now.
And many companies are spending a lot of time figuring out the logistics of getting the trucks to and from the stores at a low cost and on time. Some are even working with rival companies to support each other.
San Antonio City Council facing a decision that could lower your property taxes. Because of a recent state law, the city needs to reduce its property tax revenue, and that could mean raising the homestead exemption. State of Texas caps how much extra property tax revenue cities can bring in compared to the year before. Property tax appraisals are an up average of 28% across San Antonio.
In periods of this rising value like this, it is going to be easier to implement a homestead exemption and provide that relief to our residents.
City staff is recommending an exemption of at least 5% of each home's value. The maximum it can do is 20%. But in order to make that apply this year, council needs to pass it before July. San Antonio's current homestead exemption is the minimum, a straight $5,000.
Another Easter tradition returning to San Antonio's San Fernando Cathedral. The Passion Play will be performed tomorrow at noon. Now, it will start with a prayer service at Milan Park, and then there will be a procession to San Fernando. Now, this year it will follow a new route due to the construction on De La Rosa.
5:08, about 63 degrees.
And still ahead, why Amazon is adding a fuel and inflation surcharge to its existing fees.
And some new rules may impact your retirement savings. We'll tell you what you need to know next.
And taking a look outside with live cam, not too bad right now. We're at 63 degrees, but it will warm up. We'll be right back.
5:12, Congress taking action to help avoid a potential retirement crisis.
As CNN's Jen Sullivan reports, a bill expected to reach President Joe Biden's desk later this year could bring about new rules that could impact your retirement savings.
Here we are.
Your retirement savings may be about to face a major and inevitable change.
Part of this overhaul is to actually force people into saving in their 401k plan.
The legislation, Secure Act 2.0, is expected to reach President Joe Biden's desk by the end of the year. If passed and signed, it could require most employer-sponsored retirement plans to enroll eligible workers automatically at a 3% level. That would increase by 1% until you're contributing 10% of your paycheck annually. But workers would have the option to opt out or change their contribution level.
Most people do not understand something called the pay yourself first rule. And that means put money in your retirement plan before you start spending money on things like entertainment and travel.
The plan would also delay mandatory withdrawals and limit penalties for those who fail to withdraw on time. The proposed act could also make it easier for those with student loans to save and for older workers to make catch-up contributions. It's also a major change for part-time workers who would be able to contribute to 401k plans for the first time. With pension plans nearly extinct and the Social Security Trust Fund facing a 75-year deficit, experts say 401k plans are more critical than ever.
The three-legged stool of retirement has basically turned into a pogo stick, and it's going to be on your back and your responsibility to save money.
For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
513, 63 degrees.
And still ahead, details about Ancestry's new feature that tells customers which genetics were inherited from each parent.
Rich, indulgent chocolate with a luscious caramel filling. With love from San Francisco. Ghirardelli Caramel Squares. Makes life a bite better.
Fur, you won't faze me. Unlike Zyrtec, Allegra won't make me drowsy.
Allegra starts working 2 times faster than Claritin. So trees, you won't take me down. When allergies attack, take Allegra.
Before your symptoms take over you.
Live your greatness.
Right now, every day seems to get more and more expensive. But at Walmart, you can trust we're helping you save money. Because every day, we have the low prices you need to save money and live better.
In today's Tech Bites, a new example of inflation taking its toll. Amazon is imposing a new 5% shipping fee on sellers who use its packaging and delivery services. The company says the added fees are to offset inflation and higher gas prices. The surcharge is scheduled to take effect in 2 weeks. A new feature from Ancestry will tell you which genes come from which parents, but the company says the feature, called Side View, doesn't need genetic info from mom and dad because it uses overlaps from family members already in its database. And the maker of Pokemon Go is coming out with an augmented reality pet game. The game calls on players to care for prehistoric creatures by helping them adapt to life in the current world and to protect them from extinction, almost like digital dinosaurs. Now, try and Sarah top that. Those are your Tech Bites. Have a great day.
I just can't. I can't even look up.
He's trying.
I'm going to back off on puns just because of Andrew.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like a delayed New Year's resolution.
A protest?
No, it's not a protest. I mean, Andrew's Andrew, and he's fine, and I'm sure he's a nice guy, and we, maybe we'll do lunch sometime.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
But for now, we'll just, hang out with Stephen Cavazos.
Yeah, Stephen's like, I'm over here. There's stuff going on over here.
Well, you know what? I'll look for some dad jokes a little bit later on. I'm sure there's an Instagram account to follow.
I believe Mike's back next week.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Yes, can't wait for that. And I hope he's enjoying that break. But, if he has to sleep in, doesn't have to worry about any traffic. And if you are waking up right now, you don't really have to worry about anything as well. 37 at Southeast Military. Not really seeing anything. Pretty much a ghost town there at 1604 at Pat Booker. You're going to have the roads to yourself this early in the morning. And we're seeing the same thing on our map. Lots of pavement and lots of green. Does look like a stall may have popped up there along US 90 near 35. We'll find out how that's going to impact that morning drive time. But as I mentioned yesterday, if you are an overnight commuter and you're just getting home from work, or if you're an early morning commuter, you may have noticed that there's been some road work happening here along 1604 over on the northwest side. That's some bridge construction, and that is current until April 22nd. We can expect, again, 9 in the evening to 5 in the morning. That eastbound main lane full closure at Bandera Road to Kyle Steele Parkway is where you're going to see those blockades. So make sure to plan ahead. And of course, this is a time, bring out those phones. We have that handy dandy QR code. Scan this QR code. We'll leave it up for a few seconds so we can get people to scan it. That will take you directly to the KSAT traffic page. And of course, that'll give you the latest on closures that are taking place in your area and anything else that could be impacting that drive time.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Because on average, it takes folks about 5 full seconds to grab their phone and scan the code.
And it's Steven proof. I did it yesterday at home, and I was like, how long is it going to take? How long? That's a perfect amount of time.
We tried it too. It works.
It does. Yes. Good morning, Justin.
Good morning, guys. How are we doing?
Good.
Hey, I need some coffee.
Hanging in there.
Dad jokes.
Oh.
Next week they'll be back.
You have anything for us this morning?
You know what? Let's see. Why was the tissue dancing?
Why?
Because it had a little boogie in it.
Including, well, look at the kick dance step too. You celebrate.
Cute.
Justin, thank you.
It's not Mike territory. It's just not. I can't, replace that. But next week. Okay, the oak pollen, that's been really bad lately. It's really been bugging a lot of us. The latest count is at 16,890. It's in the very high category, but it's right on cue. I mean, this is our peak of oak season, so it's right on time here. Hopefully, next couple of weeks, we see these numbers start to really trend downward as we get towards May. As we go outside for you, there's a beautiful moon, clear skies. It feels pretty good. 63 degrees at the airport, 67 Stinson, 64 Cali, 61 at Randolph. East-northeasterly winds anywhere from 10 to 15 miles per hour. Winds are still a little bit breezy, but I think they will not be as strong as they were yesterday. 58 in Kerrville, 62 Uvalde, 66 in Cotulla. Locally, 61 Helotes, 54 Bernie Stage. That's one of the cool spots. 60 right now in Bandera. And 2 points are low in the 40s. The air is dry. Now, not as dry as it could be. As you go west, those dew points really, really drop off. The numbers are pretty astounding, honestly. You get into these negative numbers, and there were plenty of wildfires out across Texas, West Texas yesterday. They're still going to be under the gun today with air that dry and the drought situation that is underway. Frontal boundary draped across South Texas, trying to push south, but it will probably stall out today. We're still on the dry side of things, though, here until we get into tonight. So we've got dew points in the 40s and 30s today, and then by tomorrow morning, we start to see this dew point rise. This is overnight, close to 50, and then by tomorrow morning, those dew points will be much, much higher, and we'll be dealing with probably some cloud cover, maybe even a little bit of drizzle. Temperatures 59 this morning, in the 50s. I think that's where we'll bottom out, and then into the mid-70s by midday, and then topping out close to 86 for a high here in San Antonio. A little warmer down to the south. You'll find some low 80s as you get into the hill country. Tomorrow morning, some drizzle, as I mentioned, as moisture really shoves back in here. This is 7 o'clock Friday morning. Then we'll see the clouds scatter out. We'll get partly cloudy skies on your Friday afternoon. Saturday is sort of the same story. Morning clouds, then by the afternoon, there is an outside chance for a storm, just a 20% chance. And I think the best opportunity of that's going to be north of San Antonio. Sunday, weak frontal boundary moves into the area, and that may enhance our rain chances just a little bit, 30% on your Sunday. Still, keep your Easter plans. This is not going to be an all-day thing. It'll be a hit or miss shower or storm late in the day, I think. So the Easter forecast calls for cloudy skies in the morning, close to 70, 87 midday. It'll be warm and humid, 94 for a high, and there's that 30% chance of a storm late. 95 on Saturday, by the way, 94 Sunday. So the Easter weekend in general is going to be hot and sticky. 87 Monday, a little cooler, a little drier, and then maybe some more opportunities for rain down the line next week.
Hot and sticky. Now my mom doesn't want to buy chocolate candy for Easter, but I'm like, no, you still have to buy chocolate candy.
Well, again, the default is Peeps. They could survive just about anything.
Nuclear apocalypse.
Very possible.
Very colorful too. Okay.
So, I mean, if everything ended today, the only thing be left would be Peeps and roaches. That's it. 523, about 63 degrees.
And coming up next in your morning spotlight, an experimental cinematic odyssey about David Bowie, plus Walk of Fame nominations and the Judd's final tour.
A new film about David Bowie, plus how you can have a say in who gets a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Here's CNN's David Daniel with the Hollywood Minute.
A non-fiction film about the life and career of David Bowie is on the way. Moon Age Daydream is the first movie officially sanctioned by Bowie's estate. Filmmaker Brett Morgan had access to Bowie's personal archives, including master recordings and film of his stage performances. No word yet on a release date.
And we proudly welcome Daniel Craig to the Hollywood Walk of Fame!
Who do you think should have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The Hollywood Chamber of Commerce is accepting nominations to be considered at its annual Walk of Fame committee meeting in June. Anyone can nominate a celebrity for inclusion in the class of 2023, though nominees must agree to accept their honor in person if selected. Applications are at walkoffame.com. The nomination deadline is May 27th. The Judds are following their performance on the CMT Music Awards with their first tour in more than a decade. The final tour will take Naomi and Winona Judd to 10 arenas, beginning September 30th in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and concluding October 28th in Nashville, Tennessee. Tickets go on sale Friday at thejudds.com. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
And time now is 5:27 and 62 degrees for now.
Still ahead on GMSA, things moving again at the border after protests brought cargo traffic at the Far Reynosa International Bridge to a standstill. Our Alicia Beretta is at the border with an update.
And are you ready for some stuffed cookie dough? Stuffed. Well, we're going to tell you when you can get some coming up.
And ahead on GMSA at 6 is the grocery store busting your budget. We have some hacks that can help you fight foodflation. Making headlines this morning, we're getting an update on cargo delays at the border following a days-long blockade protest.
And taking a look outside with a live cam, we're at 62 degrees for now, so not too bad, but things will warm up and it looks like we're going to have a warm Easter weekend.
Good morning, it's Thursday, the 14th.
Thanks for joining us today. We made it to Thursday. Hope you had a good week. We had a good week except, about San Antonio Spurs last night. Spurs season came off the rails last night. We'll have more on that coming up a little bit later in the newscast. Let's get an update now from Justin, and then we're going to talk to Stephen Cavazos about something going on Highway 90. First up, batter's box, Justin Horn.
You guys mentioned the Spurs. We mentioned the pollen earlier, kind of making people grumpy. Let me add one more to the list. Yesterday's high temperatures. I mean, people on social media were not happy with this outcome. We got up to 98 yesterday. Here in San Antonio. Not a record. Record was 100, but we got close. 101 in Pleasanton, 105 Cotulla, 101 in Laredo. Here's the good news. It's going to cool down somewhat today. We'll see highs in the upper 80s versus the upper 90s. 63 right now. We're cooling down, thankfully, and we've got a lot of dry air, so these numbers should fall a little bit more before it's all said and done this morning. 58 right now in Kerrville. You got 62 Rio Medina, 66 in Castroville, 60 right now in New Braunfels in that forecast. Takes us into the upper 50s this morning. And then by noontime, 76 and sunny, mostly sunny. And then we should top out in the mid 80s this afternoon. Southeasterly winds start to kick in. Not as strong as yesterday, but we still could see some gusts up around 20 miles per hour or so. It also starts to bring in some moisture and hopefully some rain chances as we get into the weekend. Now, we obviously don't want to ruin any Easter plans, but there is a shot at a few showers or maybe a storm Sunday afternoon. We'll talk more about that in just a bit. Now let's get over to that issue that we're seeing on the roadways already.
Well, thankfully, this is not a major issue that drivers need to be alarmed about. This is actually a stalled vehicle, but we do want you to be alert. Let's go ahead and bring that camera in because we do have that stall that's detected there in the shoulder lane of US 90 west there at Zarzamora is a view from TransGuide. What we're looking at right now is that vehicles are able to exit that area without any trouble at this hour, but it is still very dark. So we have those flashing lights out there. That could be a TxDOT Hero truck, could be a first responder, but make sure that you move over or slow down. Give them plenty of room. That's being picked up in the westbound lanes of US 90 at Zarzamora, not causing issues for traffic as we just saw on TransGuide, and we can still see those lanes of traffic. These westbound lanes right here are still pretty green. But let's go ahead and give you that wide look at the map. 5:33, we're not spotting any other issues. Thankfully, the morning has been off to a relatively steady start, and that's a great way to start any day. But if you are traveling into San Antonio, let's go ahead and take a look at those travel times. 29 minutes if you're traveling on those westbound lanes from I-10 in Seguin, still pretty green. 21 minutes if you're coming up from 87 northbound in Lavernia, and right now 28 minutes traveling in northbound from Floresville. No delays just yet. The morning has been off to a quiet start. We do know that there is some road work still taking place, but of course we're going to keep our eyes on that. Make sure you do the same. Guys.
Thank you, Stephen. New this morning, a teenager is in the hospital with a gunshot wound. However, San Antonio police say they have no idea who shot him or why. What they do know is that someone took aim at him in the parking lot of a Southwest Side apartment complex. Katrina Weber is live in the 500 block of Briggs Avenue, not far from Southwest Military and New Laredo Highway. And Katrina, we understand it's a pretty serious gunshot wound.
That's right. Police told us that 16-year-old boy was in critical condition with a gunshot wound, but they say he and his family had very little to say about what happened here. Police arrived here after midnight after getting a 911 call. This is the 500 block of Briggs Avenue. They say that they found out that a teenager had been shot, had a gunshot wound in his neck. They also found evidence showing that he was shot in this parking lot. Police say it looks like there was a gun battle and that some of the bullets also hit some cars in that parking lot. The 16-year-old, again, was taken to a hospital, we understand, by private vehicle, and police say he did have a critical gunshot wound. Later, though, I talked to officers, and they told me that it did not appear to be life-threatening. The other person or people involved in the alleged gun battle were gone by the time officers arrived. And again, I spoke to an officer here. He told me that right now they don't have any arrests that they've made, and they don't have a whole lot of clues about exactly who is responsible. Reporting live on the southwest side, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Katrina. Today, a second bus taking a group of unlawful migrants to Washington, D.C. from Texas will be arriving in the nation's capital today. It's part of Governor Greg Abbott's response to the Biden administration.
Meanwhile, after days of protests that brought cargo traffic at the FAR Reynosa International Bridge in the Rio Grande Valley to a standstill, wheels are once again in motion. However, as Alicia Barrera reports, traffic is still slow as DPS inspections continue.
Good morning. Well, Governor Abbott says that this order of enhanced inspections isn't going to end, at least not anytime soon, as it's an added layer of border security in response to Title 42 ending soon. And this is what it looks like here. This is the second stop at the FAR International Bridge for commercial vehicles. After their inspection by Customs Border Protection is complete, they join this wait list, and DPS troopers are looking for defective brakes, tires, and lighting, among other violations. Abbott says the inspections are to keep unsafe vehicles off the road and prevent the traffic of drugs and undocumented immigrants. And while things are active in FAR, DPS has ended its enhanced inspections at one border crossing about 200 miles from here in Laredo.
Clogged bridges can end only through the type of collaboration that we are demonstrating today between Texas and Nuevo Leon.
A new deal between Texas and the governor of Nuevo Leon ends the enhanced inspections on the U.S. side of the Colombia border crossing, as Mexican officials will conduct their own inspections there. And governors in Chihuahua, Coahuila, and Tamaulipas are asking for the same, but so far no announcement has been made. And we did get to speak to several drivers, and when asked if they would be willing to come back into the U.S. knowing there could be hours-long delays, they quickly answered absolutely, as this really is their only option to keep their job. In the Rio Grande Valley for GMSA, Alicia Barrera.
There is a lot to get into when it comes to Title 42, the order that started all of this, and that's why our KSAT Explains team breaks it down for you.
So just scan the QR code on your screen right now to watch the full episode. The KSAT Explains team looks at how the asylum-seeking process is supposed to work and how Title 42 has upended that system. You can also watch on KSAT Plus, available any way you stream.
Protests, investigations, and demands for change. Those fallen officers' fatal shooting of a man in Michigan this month.
The family's attorney is scheduled to speak about what happened today. CNN's Amy Kiley reports on what's next for the investigation.
Protesters in Grand Rapids, Michigan are demanding justice and police reform. That's after this traffic stop involving a black man and a police officer turned deadly.
No, stop. Put your hands up.
We are here to make a change. We are here to speak our voices.
Patrick Leoya was 26 years old when the unnamed officer killed him. An attorney for his family is set to speak about the shooting today. Michigan State Police are investigating. The county's chief medical examiner says his final autopsy report will include tissue and toxicology results. And the county prosecutor's office says he will review all evidence before deciding whether to charge the officer.
The test is going to be whether in the view of a reasonable police officer, whether that deadly force was needed to prevent death or great bodily harm to that officer.
That could make this disturbing video released Wednesday
Let go of the taser.
an important part of the probe. In it, the officer shouts, "Drop the taser."
Drop the taser!
Everyone.
A taser can incapacitate a person. Meanwhile, protesters say they don't want to keep waiting for change. The White House says the president doesn't want to keep waiting for Congress to pass a stalled police reform bill.
His intention is absolutely to sign a policing executive order.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Lawmakers in Kentucky have overridden the state's governor's veto of a restrictive abortion bill. That means Kentucky will have one of the most restrictive laws in the U.S., banning abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. The Republican-backed law does not include exceptions for rape and incest, and also bars abortion-inducing drugs from being sent through the mail. Democratic Governor Andy Beshear vetoed the bill last week, arguing that it is likely unconstitutional. Now, Planned Parenthood and the ACLU immediately announced plans to challenge the new law in court.
NASA's Hubble Space Telescope has located what scientists believe is the largest comet ever seen by astronomers. The estimated diameter of the Bernardinelli-Bernstein comet is about 80 miles across, making it larger than the state of Rhode Island. That beats the previous record by, 20 miles. Fortunately, astronomers say the giant icy rock poses no risk to Earth.
Time now, 5:40 and 62 degrees for now.
Still ahead, we'll tell you about some new stuffed cookie dough from Nestle Toll House and when you can get your hands on it and get it in your mouth.
And next, we'll also tell you which items at the grocery store are seeing the biggest increase on prices.
Let's go outside with live cam right now, and hopefully you've got the windows closed and your AC in your car or truck on recirculate. We are going to take another pollen bath today. Get ready, folks. More on your forecast coming up.
Welcome back. It's 5:43 in your morning consumer headlines. Filling up your fridge is emptying your wallet more quickly. Food prices increased nearly 9% in the year that ended last month. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says that's the largest 12-month hike since May of 1981. Now, according to the BLS, groceries shot up 10% overall, with products like eggs, flour, and milk all rising at least 11%. Bacon prices were up more than 18%, and researchers say a couple of factors are causing food items to be more expensive, and they include crop-affecting droughts and the war in Ukraine, which has disrupted wheat production.
Nestle Toll House is stuffing its cookie dough. The iconic cookie brand's been baking up some tasty new creations with its first ever stuffed cookie dough. You'll have two flavors to choose from, Steph: chocolate chip cookie dough with fudge filling and double chocolate cookie dough with salted caramel filling. Ooh, but you're going to have to wait. These new dough delights don't come out until July. Why are they making us wait?
I know. Why are they telling me about it this
If they say supply chain issues, we're going to blow a gasket.
Maybe.
Looks good, right?
It looks awesome.
The one, especially with the salted caramel.
Really? I'm looking at the one with the chocolate.
Okay, you make one, I'll make the other, and then we'll bring them in and everybody can sample. Okay.
Yeah, deal, right, Stephen?
All right. 5:45, about 62 degrees.
And coming up next, the San Antonio Humane Society standing by with a furry friend that's ready to go to a new home.
It is puppy time, and Kim is here from the San Antonio Humane Society. Who is this little guy? What a face. I love this guy.
I know. Look at this little guy. This is Churro. Churro is a 10-year-old terrier mix. Was owner surrender, brought into us. Is learning sit, walks really well on a leash. So an amazing addition to a family.
And you know the personality.
Yes.
Like I said, what you see is what you get with this little guy. He's going to be a great little lap dog. Plenty of energy.
Yes,
he came
lots of energy.
He's
ready to go. He's like, I'm ready for my morning walk, and then I just want to hang out on the couch with you and watch some TV.
Sounds like a plan.
I know, right?
What you got going on?
So we need volunteers. We have volunteer orientation coming up this Saturday, and you can sign up on our website. We need people to do things from walk dogs to office help to any and everything. So definitely need some support there.
And again, even if, like you said, you don't have to, if you're not a fan of animals, you can do, like you said, some of the office work.
Exactly.
Like that. And great opportunity for kids to get volunteer hours, too.
Yes. Yeah. So you can work with our PR PR team, and you can take some photos, write some pet bios too. So there's a lot of opportunities. Everything's on our website.
Okay, just go to the website or give them a call. Head on over there. You can check out Little Mr. Churro, and it's 4804 Fredericksburg Road, just outside Loop 410. Give them a call again, 226-7461 or sahumane.org.
I like how Mike called him Mr. Churro.
Mr., of course, very formal.
Yes.
5:49 right now on your Thursday morning.
Let's go ahead and check in with Stephen Cavazos about those problems there on I-10.
Yeah, more flashing lights out here. I was just talking to our friends over at TransGuide. Thankfully, nothing major, but we are looking at a stalled vehicle. Almost looks like from out in the distance. The camera's a little bit shaky, but it does look like it could be some sort of cargo truck that may be having trouble out there. We'll watch it closely, but we're not seeing it cause any issues for drivers. But you can see, although we have those street lights out there, make sure to always stay alert and give those first responders plenty of room. That is being picked up over here off of I-10 westbound at Dominion Drive. This is going up toward Bernie, so just make sure to take it slow out in that direction. And we still have this stall right over here off US 90 westbound at Zazamoto Street. Hasn't been causing any trouble for drivers, but again, that seems to be the trending issue as we are getting closer to 6 a.m. Let's go ahead and show you how things are looking right now. 550 of the metro area. We have that bird's eye view. Lots of green, so that's some good news, but we are getting closer to seeing more activity out on the roadways. And what we're going to be seeing is going to be taking place here off State Highway 123 out in Guadalupe County. Some paving operations. Keep in mind, this is current and will wrap on Friday, April 15th. Now, this will start pretty early at 7 in the morning and last till 5 in the afternoon. Drivers, keep in mind, a single lane closure in both directions from the Wilson County line to 5 miles north of that Wilson County line. This is according to TxDOT. And of course, we have this information posted already on our website at KSAT.com. Just head over to the traffic page, but we'll watch this stall here off of I-10 at Dominion. It doesn't look like it's causing too much of an issue, but as always, make sure you stay alert. Guys.
Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah, good advice. And it was warm yesterday, and I was going to talk about that, but now I'm looking at the snake behind you.
Oh, no.
Yeah, well, Stephen just said stay alert. It's true in this sense, too.
Yeah.
This was a picture coming out of Seguin yesterday. That's one of those coral snakes, one you don't want to mess with. It
Red
is.
and yellow, kill a fella.
There it is. That's the saying. It is snake season, and so you got to be careful. You know, they're probably looking for water like we are. It's been so dry. It's now 90 or 69 days, I should say, since we've had a quarter of an inch of rain or more. And I know this week we've had a couple instances where we've gotten some rain at the airport, but it's not enough, not less than a quarter of an inch. And we've only had about 4.75 inches since October 28th of last year. That's not going to cut it. So we are still dealing with this drought situation, very much so, and it looks to continue. There are some chances of rain, yes, but nothing that's going to be a drought buster, at least not yet. Take a look at the moon. You can see it there. It's almost full. We're almost there. We got about 2 days before we get to our full moon. But a beautiful morning out there, 63 degrees. Dew point is at 45. We've got east-northeasterly winds at about 12 miles per hour. Still a little gusty, gusting 20. And these winds will stay somewhat breezy through the morning. That's hoping to keep numbers up just a little bit. We were hoping to fall into the 50s. We're not quite there yet. We may still. We've got another hour here, too, where we could see those temperatures fall. 63 Hondo, 60 Uvalde, 60 in Pleasanton, 57 right now in Kerrville. Bernie Station continues to be the cool spot, 54 there with clear skies. And looking at the dew points, it will be awful dry today. Dew points in the 30s and 40s. But the numbers really jump up overnight tonight. And what that's going to do is allow for cloud cover to develop. And then I think that we could see some drizzle tomorrow morning. So the morning commute tomorrow could look very different from this morning's commute. And then moisture pretty much stays with us through the weekend. And that means it's going to be hot and muggy both Saturday and Easter Sunday. 58 degrees by 8 p.m. Clear skies. Noontime 76. We're getting an easterly wind and then more of a southeasterly wind by the afternoon, which starts that process of bringing in the moisture. 86 degrees for our high temperature in our KSAT 12-hour forecast here that we can give you the forecast hour by hour. As far as tomorrow morning, we've got a few showers, maybe some drizzle to start, and then by the afternoon, clouds scatter out. On Saturday, we start with some cloud cover, partly cloudy afternoon, and then we'll add in a 20% chance of storms. This model develops a few storms north of San Antonio. Just can't rule it out. It's not a great chance, but it is there. And I think by Sunday, we'll bring the rain chances up just a little bit because we're seeing that there's a boundary that tries to slip south. And that may be a focus, at least a little bit more so of a focus for some showers and storms. Still, rain chances are low. Easter plans should still be fine. And I think really it's going to be late in the day if we see anything. 87 by midday on Easter, and then we're up around 94. Now, we could be dealing with a heat index, and it is going to be hot and muggy, so keep that in mind if you do plan to be outside. 85 tomorrow, 95 Saturday, 94 Sunday. Does cool down a little bit to start next week.
All right, Justin, thank you very much for the forecast. Right now, we're at about 62 degrees, 554.
Okay, let's look at your winning lotto numbers. We have pick 3, 5, 3, 8, Fireball 2, Daily 4, 6, 2, 5, 6, Fireball 7.
Cash 5 numbers 9, 11, 12, 14, 19. Your Lotto Texas numbers 3, 8, 24, 28, 42, 44. And Powerball 14, 16, 41, 63, 68. The Powerball was 26. The Power Play 2. Good luck from everybody here at GMSA. Ahead in the next hour of GMSA, our young Spurs are done for the season. This after they fell to the Pelicans last night in a play-in game in New Orleans. But there's plenty to be excited for next season. We'll tell you why. Plus, Scary Moments, the video shows the moment a man tosses a Molotov cocktail into a Florida home. We will have the details on that. And Steve Cavazos is going to keep an eye on flashing lights. I-10 way out by Dominion, far northwest side. We'll see what's up. We'll be right back.
Good morning, I'm Jonathan Cotto. It was a get-together at one of these apartments that's ended with the shooting and one man in the hospital in critical condition. We'll tell you what we know coming up on GMSA.
A gun battle at a southwest side apartment complex ends with a teen in the hospital with life-threatening injuries. We're going to tell you everything we know so far.
So these are young guys and they got to learn it. It's a process, but they bought in and they did a good job.
The Silver and Black season has come to an end after the first round of the play-in tournament. We'll have highlights from the game in New Orleans and why you should be excited for next season.
And taking a look outside with live cam, we're at 62 degrees, expecting a warm day, but not as warm as yesterday.
Live from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
And good morning to you. Rise and shine. It's Thursday, the 14th.
Happy Thursday. Thanks for joining us. And yeah, we'll take any relief we can. At least it won't be as hot as it was yesterday.
If you take a look at the skyline, especially during the heat of the day, like maybe you're out in the far north side looking back towards downtown, what looks like smog is probably pollen. Justin is here with more on what appears to be perhaps the peak of the oak pollen season right now.
Let's hope. Let's hope. Let's hope this is as high as it goes. Yesterday's numbers were pretty incredible. We got up to 16,890. We'll see where we land today. We get the pollen count in here in about an hour or so. But pollen has been just awful. I know oak is getting to a lot of people. Molds and grass are there too, but oak is the main story. And it's got a lot of people sniffling and sneezing around here. Live cam shows we got clear skies outside. It's a pretty nice morning. 62 degrees right now, 65 Stinson, 62 Kelly. Now starting to see some 50s there on the map around Randolph, 59. And those winds are trying to calm just a little bit. So hopefully that drags temperatures down a couple more degrees before it's all said and done this morning. 56 Kerrville, 60 in Uvalde, 58 New Braunfels, and 65, as we said, down there at Stinson. Everybody's going to be looking at clear skies today, so lots of sun. And that will allow those temperatures to rebound pretty quickly. But the good news here, as Steph pointed out, not as hot as yesterday. We got up to 98 yesterday. That's no fun. 76 noontime. Our high temperature is around 86 this afternoon. So we'll shave about 10 to 12 degrees off that high temperature from yesterday. Everybody will be in the 80s a little bit later this afternoon. It does get hot again, though, over the weekend. Easter weekend's looking pretty steamy, and we may have a couple of chances for some storms, too. We'll look at that forecast coming up. Let's get over to Stephen now, your traffic authority.
Oh, thank you. If I could, I would stay inside all the time. But, with Easter weekend coming up, I got to be outside the Cascarones, all the egg popping. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we'll see how it turns out. But let's go ahead and take a look and turn our attention to I-10 at Dominion Drive. We do have some flashing lights out over there. This is actually stalled, some sort of cargo truck that's experiencing some trouble out there. Thankfully, we are able to see that vehicles that are making their way through those westbound lanes aren't finding it to be too difficult at this hour. But as I mentioned, mentioned, those street lights don't really shed a whole lot of light on the situation. We're going to have to watch it closely. Let's go ahead and take a look here on our map. I-10 westbound at Dominion, as Mark pointed out, this is over near the northwest side of San Antonio. So an area we will watch closely, and hopefully those first responders will be able to offer some resolution pretty soon. Let's go ahead and take a look here. US 90 westbound at Zarzamora Street. This stall has been there for over half an hour now. I was checking the view of TransGuide right over here, and we do still see a few more flashing lights out in that direction. So drivers, make sure you stay alert, and as a friendly reminder, make sure to check those vehicles before you get your morning started. 6:03, let's get that bird's eye view of the map. Thankfully, no big problems to report other than those stalls, but of course always stay alert. And if you are planning on heading out the door, and if your travels take you here to the Alamo City, well, we have those inbound times for you right now. Pleasant Drive from Pleasanton, 37 northbound. We're looking at a 28-minute drive time, 19 minutes if you're traveling in from Highway 90 in Castroville to downtown San Antonio, and 16 minutes on 35 northbound coming in from Lytle. So no problems there, but the problems persist here off I-10 at Dominion Drive. We'll find out what's going on and give you all those updates coming up a little bit later on in this newscast. Guys.
Thank you, Stephen. New this morning, a small get-together at a Southside apartment ends with gunfire, and we are learning one person is hurt.
It happened on a street called Emerald Ash, just outside of Loop 410. San Antonio police are looking for the person involved. Jonathan Cotto joins us live. Jonathan, give us an update, please.
Good morning, Mark. That's right. Right now, I'm located where it all went down, the Rosemont at University Park apartment complex. And it's certainly a lot more quiet than it first was when San Antonio police responded close to 2 o'clock this morning. This apartment community actually located right off of 410 and Pleasanton. We're told there was a small gathering inside one of these units. The folks there had some people over. Police tell us 4 men and 2 women were all having drinks when some of the guests were asked to leave. It's unclear exactly why, but police tell us that's when a fight broke out. One of the men pulled out a gun and shot the 17-year-old victim. We do know the teenager shot was taken to University Hospital, and we're told he's in critical condition. As for the suspect involved, he did take off in a white SUV with another man and woman. This shooting continues to be under investigation. As we receive information, we'll update you. Reporting live from the city's south side, Jonathan Cotto, KSAT 12 News.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Also new this morning, San Antonio police say a teenager fighting for his life after a gun battle at a Southwest Side apartment complex. Now, this happened around midnight on Briggs Avenue, not far from I-35 and Southwest Military. Police say a vehicle was also hit in that gunfire. The 16-year-old victim was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. No arrests have been made.
Also, overnight, a woman was detained following a shooting on the north side. Happened around 2:15. On Dutch Myrtle near 281. That's near 281 and Wurzbach Parkway. Police tell us the man and woman were fighting when she fired shots. Man was grazed in the head by one of those shots and taken to a hospital.
We are learning new information about the bodies of a man and woman that were found under a bridge on the city's northwest side. Now, according to the medical examiner, the man has been identified as 36-year-old Rick Stepp. The ME also says the cause of death, gunshots. Now, the woman who was found has not yet been identified. Police say someone who was passing through that area made the discovery underneath the bridge in the 5400 block of Evers Road and called authorities around 6:30 on Tuesday night. Officers tell us there was evidence the man and woman were living in the drainage ditch under that bridge.
The ongoing trucker protests at the border are causing problems for local companies already battling higher freight costs. Produce companies in town say they've seen costs jump anywhere from 63 to 150%, and that's just in the last couple of months. They say any slowdown in produce coming from Mexico can impact their bottom line if it's delayed for too long. They do want to calm fears, saying Texans will get the food they need. It just might cost more.
Everything is definitely going to be costing more, and with inflation and with everything, the rising costs, you're going to see us paying a lot more money.
Human beings have a tendency to work together. They fix it, we get on down the road. It's just a little hiccup right now.
Many companies spending a lot of time figuring out logistics of getting trucks to and from stores at a low cost and on time. Some even working with rival companies to support each other. We're going to have more on the situation at the border coming up the next half hour of GMSA. Well, this morning we have new information about that man accused of attacking the New York subway system. It's a story we've been following closely.
And sources say he called the police on himself. ABC's Faith Abube has more.
Today, the man accused in the Brooklyn subway mass shooting faces a federal terrorism charge in court.
Oh my God, y'all, they caught him.
Sources say Frank James called a Crime Stoppers hotline, telling officers he had seen his picture on the news. He gave officers a description of what he was wearing and said he might be at a McDonald's on Manhattan's Lower East Side, charging his phone.
I thought the police, this is the guy, he did the problem in Brooklyn.
Authorities did not find James at that McDonald's. The manager of a nearby flower shop says he notified an officer who was stopped at a red light.
After that, police officer told me, "You sure?" I said, "I'm not sure, police officer, but you can go and check." And that's how they get him.
There's no word on who, if anyone, will get the $50,000 reward for leading police to James.
My fellow New Yorkers, we got him.
Nearly 30 hours earlier, police say James boarded the subway, detonated 2 smoke bombs, and opened fire, wounding 10 people. All are expected to survive. Investigators say they found 2 bags, one containing fireworks and a Glock pistol traced back to James. Despite a criminal record, he was able to buy the gun legally in Ohio 11 years ago because he had never been convicted of a felony. Investigators also released new evidence, including video they say shows James entering the subway station, along with video that captured the U-Haul James rented in Philadelphia on a bridge in New York several hours before the shooting. And as for Frank James, new reports say he recently spent about $100 at a store in Wisconsin to buy smoke bombs and fireworks. He has addresses in both Wisconsin and Philadelphia. Faith Abube, ABC News, New York.
In your consumer news this morning, Google now says it will invest over $9 billion in data centers and offices across the U.S. It's planning new facilities or expansions in more than a dozen states and expects to add about 12,000 jobs by the end of the year.
And Amazon is imposing a new 5% shipping fee on sellers who use its packaging and delivery services. The company says the added fees are to offset inflation and higher gas prices. The surcharge is scheduled to take effect in 2 weeks.
Right now, 6:10, about 61 degrees.
And still ahead on GMSA, the very latest on a massive fire at a building in Northern California. We're going to tell you if anyone was hurt.
The United States will send another $800 million worth of aid to Ukraine. I'm Micah Jachi reporting in Washington. Coming up, a look at what's in the aid package.
Outside with live cam this morning, a pleasant 61 degrees. Did you know the hottest temperature in the country was right here in South Texas yesterday? Justin's going to have more on what to expect for the rest of this work week and the upcoming Easter weekend when we come back.
War-torn Ukraine will soon be getting additional military and aid from the United States. It comes after President Joe Biden and President Volodymyr Zelensky held a lengthy phone call. All this as the Ukrainian fighters are striking back, claiming to hit a Russian warship in the Black Sea with cruise missiles. ABC's Ika Jachi is in Washington with more.
Good morning. Satellite images are showing Russian forces gathering in the east. As for the land they've retreated from, more evidence of possible war crimes. This morning, another showing of support for war-torn Ukraine. The presidents of 4 European countries traveling to Kyiv to meet President Volodymyr Zelensky. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden unveiling a new $800 million aid package to Ukraine that's set to include long-range artillery systems, ammunition, armored personnel carriers, and additional drones and helicopters.
We tailored this list specifically to meet the needs that they have asked for with respect to what's going on in eastern Ukraine.
The aid coming as Putin repositions his troops for that eastern assault. In the eastern city of Kharkiv, military experts claim cluster bombs are being used to attack the city. The Russian Defense Ministry says they're seeing attempts of sabotage by Ukrainian forces in Russia. Russia claims over 1,000 Ukrainian forces have surrendered in Mariupol. Ukrainian authorities haven't confirmed it. Ika Jachi, ABC News, Washington.
Exactly 6:15.
Go ahead and check back with Stephen Cavazos about the issues that we saw earlier at I-10.
I would say 6:15, some of these issues that we've been spotting haven't been major issues that would cause problems for drivers, but nonetheless something to be alert of. 1604 at Pat Booker, we are seeing, also looks like we may be seeing some sort of stall out there involving an 18-wheeler. I'll check that out and find out what's happening, but right now 410 at Jackson Keller, you can see the morning is moving as more people are waking up and getting that day started. 410 at Starcrest, looking pretty busy you there. But as I mentioned, be alert because we do have that stall over here on the northwest side of San Antonio, right there off I-10 westbound at Dominion Drive. This is right here in these westbound lanes. If you're traveling up perhaps towards Bernie, you may encounter that. This is some sort of 18-wheeler that's also experiencing some trouble out there. Let's take that drive. We've also had this issue still staying out there off US 90 westbound at Zazamoto Street. Another stall. So you can see at this hour, that is the trending problem. Check those vehicles before you get your day started. Let's go ahead and just show you how things are looking. I'm getting that wide view of the map, and as what we're looking at here from these icons, a few more stalls here along I-10. We're seeing one down there at 35 southbound near Von Army, and we're also seeing some there along 410. So we'll have to find out what's going on and how this is going to impact that drive time. But thankfully, we're not seeing any slowdowns just yet. And as I mentioned, plan your commute ahead of time. That's always really important. 410 over on the west side of San Antonio, we'll still see some signal work taking place. It's been current and will wrap on Monday, April 18th from 9 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon. What you can expect there is an alternating lane closure on the frontage roads in both directions from Marbach Road to Bandera Road. And you know what time it is. Time to grab out those phones, and we'll leave this up for a few seconds. Our QR code. Now, this QR code, once you scan it, it'll take you directly to the KSAT traffic page that will have a full list of closures that are taking place in your area, but not just that, it'll have the latest on anything that could impact your morning drive time. So again, very handy tool there. Thank you. A big shout out to our Carlo, our producer, who's able to keep this up for a little while, our directors as well. We know that it's definitely making an impact on our viewers.
Definitely. We like having that extra time to get everything ready.
Thank you, Stephen. Let's roll that school bus with Justin Horn.
Bring it in.
Oh,
there it is.
there
I think I went the wrong way with that. Anyway,
school time.
Light jacket. You may want it this morning. It's coolish. It's not that cold though. 60 degrees to start. By the afternoon, you definitely won't want your jacket. 85 degrees, mostly sunny and warm. Southeasterly winds kick in 5 to 15 miles per hour, and they could be a little bit gusty from time to time. With those gusty winds, there still is a sort of a lingering fire threat. Not as big as it was yesterday, but it is there. And boy, yesterday it was hot. It was 98 degrees. That was the high temperature here in San Antonio. That also happens to be Steph's favorite boy band from the 90s. But anyway, we won't go there. I'm sorry. No, not right? No. Okay, NSYNC. Okay, that's fair.
No.
110 was the high yesterday in Falcon Lake, Texas. That was the hottest spot in the country by a large margin. Most of the valley, though, was well into the triple digits. You go up to Yellowstone National Park. That's where the cold temperature was yesterday, negative 18. So there was a whopping 128-degree temperature difference between the high and the low, which is pretty huge. And that was due to that big storm system that was making its way across the country. It's still lingering, by the way. Still some blizzard conditions up across the Dakotas. We're on sort of the warm side of things. Now, we did get a little bit of a cool down thanks to some drier air this morning. 62 degrees at the airport, 45 the dew point, and east-northeasterly winds at about 8 miles per hour. 56 Kerrville, 52 in Fredericksburg, 61 Pleasanton, 65 Cotulla. Northern Bexar County starting to see some 50s show up. Also Randolph checking in at 59 degrees there. Dew points are low, 30s and 40s. That puts us in the dry category. It gets even drier as you go west, where dew points are still in the negatives, places like Midland, Marfa, and El Paso, and that just lends itself to more grass fire issues out there. That frontal boundary, by the way, starting to stall out a little bit, still pushing south towards Corpus Christi, but that's brought that dry air into Texas. The dew points will rebound as we get into tonight. So this is over the next 20 hours or so. We'll see the numbers bottom out a little bit this afternoon and then really start to build as we get into tonight. And dew points get high enough tomorrow morning where we're going to see a lot of cloud cover and it will feel a little more sticky. So by noontime today, 76 degrees. This afternoon, we top out in the 80s, a lot better than yesterday's numbers, 86 degrees here in San Antonio. And the forecast calls for a little bit of drizzle tomorrow morning and then breaking out into partly cloudy skies by the afternoon. Saturday, clouds early, partly cloudy in the afternoon and hot, but also 20% chance of a stray storm. I think probably the best shot is north of San Antonio, but there is a chance there. And then Sunday, weak boundary works in, and that may up our chances just a little bit more, 30%. Still, this is going to be isolated stuff and probably late in the day. So the Easter forecast, still a good one. 87 degrees midday, mostly cloudy, 94 during the evening hours with that 30% chance of rain. And maybe the bigger story here is the heat and humidity. If you do plan to be outside, know that that's pretty summer-like. 85 tomorrow, 95 Saturday, 94 Sunday, 80s on Monday and Tuesday, and then maybe another rain chance showing up there on Wednesday. Thankfully, no more 98-degree temperatures in the forecast.
Ooh, no more 98-degree band either.
Oof, wow.
Thanks, Justin.
You got it.
We have met our boy band quota for the year.
Say it isn't so. The Spurs are done for the year after they fell in New Orleans last night. However, there is much to look forward to for the next season. We're going to hear from Coach Pop.
My A1C stayed here. It needed to be here.
Ruby's A1C is down with Rehearsals.
My A1C wasn't at goal. Now I'm down with Rehearsals.
Mom's A1C is down with Rehearsals.
A1C down with Rehearsals. In a clinical study, once daily Rehearsals significantly lowered A1C better than a leading branded pill. Rehearsals isn't for people with type 1 diabetes. Don't take Rehearsals if you or your family ever had medullary thyroid cancer or have multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2, or if allergic to it. Stop Rehearsals and get medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, or an allergic reaction. Serious side effects may include pancreatitis. Tell your provider about vision problems or changes. Taking Rehearsals with a sulfonylurea or insulin increases low blood sugar risk. Side effects like nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea may lead to dehydration, which may worsen kidney problems.
Need to get your A1C down?
A1C down with Ask your healthcare provider about Rehearsals today.
Our Spurs went to New Orleans last night, taking on the Pelicans in first round of the play-in tournament. Silver and Black fought hard all night, but came up a little bit short. Devin Vassell with the hot hand early connected on a pair of threes to push the Spurs out in front, but early foul trouble for DeJounte Murray and Jakob Poeltl allowed the Pelicans to take a 4-point lead going into the second quarter. C.J. McCollum, a monster for the Pels last night, 19 points in the second quarter for a season-high 25 points in the first half to lead the Pelicans to an 11-point lead at halftime. From there, didn't get much better for our Spurs. McCollum would end the night with 32 points, help lift New Orleans over San Antonio 113-103. Devin Vassell led San Antonio with 23 points. DeJounte finished the night with 16. So the season comes to an end, but we're proud of our young guys who are still finding their way. Here's Coach Pop.
To watch their growth and collectively as a group to understand what wins and what loses and what it takes night after night after night to be a pro. That was enjoyable to be part of that, and so, all the coaches, we all got to participate in that. We didn't have to, after a few years, we didn't have to teach that stuff to the championship teams, but, these are young guys and they got to learn it. It's a process, but they bought in and they did a good job.
Our Spurs have a bright future ahead of them, and we fans are excited for what could happen next season.
Yeah, we're excited. I mean, sure, I wanted to see them hang on a little longer, but we are proud of our Spurs, and I'm proud to be a fan, and we're excited about next season.
The other weird thing about this year, how remarkably chill Coach Pop has been almost all season. It's weird.
You're kind of right about that.
Yeah, it's like one of our sports guys said, "Hey, Pop, can you take a chill pill?" And he did.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, 6:26.
And still ahead on GMSA, we have much more to come at 6:30, including a preview of one of San Antonio's Easter traditions that's returning to the Alamo City.
Outside with live cam, it's what you can't see that gets you, and that is the oak pollen off the charts. We are waiting for an update on our pollen count, which is coming soon. I don't mean to sound ominous, but it's not great right now. Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday, the 14th.
Thanks for joining us this morning. No pressure, Justin. Just we want the pollen away.
When I get the email, I'm like, closing my eyes, like, I don't want to see it. Hopefully maybe it gets better. Who knows?
Okay.
We'll see. We are in the thick of oak season, though. That's for sure. And yesterday, it was hot, too. We had a lot of complaints about the heat. It got up to 98 degrees here in San Antonio yesterday, 101 in Pleasanton. It was 105 in Cotulla, 97 in Eagle Pass. So the heat cranked up yesterday. Now we're going to see some cooler temperatures today. Some drier air, slightly cooler air has worked in here. And here's what to expect. We'll see cooler conditions today, mostly sunny. Tomorrow, humidity is back, comes back pretty quickly, so we'll start to see some clouds tomorrow morning, some drizzle perhaps for the morning commute on your Friday. And then by Easter weekend, it'll be hot, humid, and we have a small chance for some storms, mainly during the afternoon hours. Currently, we're at 62 degrees here in San Antonio, 53 Kerrville, 58 in New Braunfels. So it doesn't feel all that bad outside this morning. 64 Castroville, 62 in Divine. If you remember yesterday morning, we had like mid-70s. So this is a lot better. And the forecast for today, 62 by 9 a.m., 76 noontime. We'll see an easterly wind, 5 to 15. Could be a little bit gusty from time to time. And then later today, we're up around 86 for high southeasterly winds. And that starts that process of bringing some humidity and moisture back into the forecast. We haven't had a whole lot of incidents on the roadways, at least I don't think so, Stephen. How are things looking at this hour?
You know, we're hoping that it does stay that way, Justin. Right now, things have just been pretty calm. Although we are seeing some flashing lights here at I-10 at Dominion, we aren't seeing any big slowdowns in that direction. But keep in mind, this is some sort of 18-wheeler that did experience some trouble out on the roadways. So drivers, if you are heading west, perhaps to Bernie, you will encounter these flashing lights here within the next few minutes. You can see that cargo truck or 18-wheeler off in the distance with its emergency lights on. And of course, there are some flashing lights indicating they are receiving some help. So let's go ahead and start there. All right. So I-10 westbound at Dominion Drive is where we have that stall picked up. But we are seeing that trend continue as we take a big drive over here to the east side of San Antonio, right there along I-10 eastbound at Foster Road, a stalled vehicle. Now we have that red icon that's appearing, which indicates that there is some sort of closure because of what we're seeing out there. We'll find out what's going on with our friends at TransGuide in just a moment. But again, the trend just continues here off I-35 northbound at Division Avenue, another stall. And we see more of them as we get that wide look at the map. You can see that off of Von Ormy, we have another one that's been picked up. So that does seem to be the problem that just has persisted throughout the morning. As a reminder, again, check those vehicles and make sure that you do watch out for first responders who are out there. These inbound times, thankfully, the green lining here is that we are not seeing any slowdowns. Lots of green on the screen, so some good news for anyone that may have to travel into San Antonio within the next few moments. But got to watch out for those flashing lights. We will continue to keep a close eye on things and give you the updates as the morning does roll on. Mark, Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephen. San Antonio police believe a teen who was shot at a southeast side apartment complex was wounded during a gun battle. The 16-year-old boy was hit in the neck. He's at a hospital right now.
Katrina Weber is live at Public Safety Headquarters with that story. Katrina, have police made any arrests?
No, not yet, but they tell us they are looking into the possibility that this suspect may live close to the area where the shooting happened. That would be the 500 block of Briggs Avenue, not far from Southwest Military and New Laredo Highway. Police tell us that is where they found a crime scene. They say that there was evidence of a gun battle with several cars also being hit. Police found out that the victim already had left by private car for a hospital. They say he suffered a gunshot wound to his neck and he was in critical condition. However, an officer told me later that this wound was not life-threatening. Although police have suspicions about who was involved, they say that the victim and his family were not offering much information. Reporting live from Public Safety Headquarters, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
All right, thanks, Katrina. A teenage boy is in the hospital with life-threatening injuries after a shooting on the city's south side. Now, this one happened just before 2 this morning on Emerald Ash near Pleasanton Road, just outside Loop 410. Police say a group of people were having drinks when a fight broke out, and that's when someone pulled out a gun and shot the 17-year-old victim in the chest. He is now in critical condition at the hospital. Officers are still looking for that suspect.
Cleanup underway this morning after an overnight fire at a home on the city's south side. Happened around 1 this morning on Winnipeg Avenue near 35 and Nogalitos. And that's where police say a water heater caused the side of the duplex to go up in flames. Crews were able to knock out the fire, and while no one was hurt, the family of 4 is displaced for the time being. Damages are said to be worth about $25,000.
Seguin police have made an arrest in connection to a deadly crash that happened about a month ago. A woman was killed in that crash and another person was critically hurt. Yesterday, officers arrested 51-year-old Sylvia Rodriguez from New Braunfels. Seguin police say that Rodriguez was behind the wheel when she crashed head-on into the other vehicle. Now, she told officers she had several drinks before that crash. She was arrested at her home in New Braunfels. And you might see an alert on your way to work. A search is underway for 74-year-old John Bohack III. Now, authorities say he was last seen in Kyle, which is just south of Austin, around 2:30 yesterday afternoon. Now, he was driving a gray 2020 Toyota Sienna with a Texas license plate that reads 96946DV. He has white hair, hazel eyes, and a faded tattoo on his arm. He was last seen wearing a camo veteran hat. a gray long sleeve shirt and blue jeans. Now, if you know where he could be, you are asked to call the Kyle Police Department. That number on your screen, that's 512-268-3232.
6:36 right now. After days of protests that brought cargo traffic at the FAR Reynosa International Bridge in the Rio Grande Valley to a standstill, wheels are once again in motion. Customs and Border Protection confirmed to KSAT 12 the blockade in Reynosa ended around 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. But as our Alicia Barrera reports, traffic is still slow as DPS inspections will continue as ordered by Governor Greg Abbott.
Good morning. Well, Governor Abbott says that this order of enhanced inspections isn't going to end, at least not anytime soon, as it's an added layer of border security in response to Title 42 ending soon. And this is what it looks like here. This is the second stop at the FAR International Bridge for commercial vehicles. After their inspection by Customs Border Protection is complete, they join this wait list, and DPS troopers are looking for defective brakes, tires, and lighting, among other violations. Abbott says the inspections are to keep unsafe vehicles off the road and prevent the traffic of drugs and undocumented immigrants. And while things are active in FAR, DPS has ended its enhanced inspections at one border crossing about 200 miles from here in Laredo.
Clogged bridges can end only through the type of collaboration that we are demonstrating today between Texas in Nuevo Leon.
A new deal between Texas and the governor of Nuevo Leon ends the enhanced inspections on the U.S. side of the Colombia border crossing, as Mexican officials will conduct their own inspections there. And governors in Chihuahua, Coahuila, and Tamaulipas are asking for the same, but so far no announcement has been made. And we did get to speak to several drivers, and when asked if they would be willing to come back into the U.S. knowing there could be hours-long delays, they quickly answered absolutely, as this really is their only option to keep their job. In the Rio Grande Valley for GMSA, Alicia Barrera.
And there's a lot to get into when it comes to Title 42, the order that started all of this, and that's why our KSAT Explains team breaks it down for you.
Just scan the QR code on the screen to watch the full episode. The KSAT Explains team looks at how the asylum seeking process is supposed to work and how Title 42 has essentially upended that system. You can also watch on KSAT Plus, available any way you stream.
And some other top stories that we're following. The death toll from a major tropical storm in the Philippines has risen to at least 76. It made landfall on Sunday and has affected more than 920,000 people. The storm has also left more than 200,000 displaced.
A massive fire burning in Northern California this morning. See flames and thick smoke pouring into the air. Crews near San Jose say the building that belongs to Taylor Farms Company could be a total loss. No one was inside, so no one was hurt. Officials say the blaze began during a welding project. And caught on camera, police looking for this man as they threw Molotov cocktails into a Florida home on Sunday. Caught on camera, happened in the city of Fort Pierce, and it sparked a fire and explosion. Now, 3 people were in that house when all this happened, but officers say none of them were hurt.
And you will have to keep wearing your mask whenever you use public transportation. The TSA extended its mask mandate. That mandate was scheduled to end on Monday. However, now it will continue through Tuesday, May 3rd. TSA officials say it is a decision based on a rise in cases. The U.S. 7-day average has increased since the beginning of April as the Omicron BA2 subvariant continues to spread. The subvariant now makes up more than 85% of the country's COVID cases.
Tomorrow at GMSA, we'll be live with a preview of the Passion Play. The Easter tradition is once again returning to San Antonio's San Fernando Cathedral. Yesterday, we got a preview of the performance. It will start with prayer service at Milam Park. Then the Passion Play will begin at noon, be followed by a procession to San Fernando. This year, it will follow a new route due to construction on De La Rosa.
And time now, 6:40 and 60 degrees for now.
Is the grocery store busting your budget? Just go ahead and say yes. Coming up after the break, we have some hacks that can help you fight foodflation. Real quick, we have some breaking business news. Apparently, Elon Musk has offered to buy Twitter in a hostile takeover attempt, saying it needs to be transformed as a private company. Look for more in our later newscasts. 6:44 right now. Americans spend a little over $5,000 a year, or roughly $430 a month on groceries. And according to the Consumer Price Index, that number continues to skyrocket.
And that's because the cost of food has been on a steady rise over the past year. Ursula Perry has some ways you can avoid paying more at the store.
My dollar is buying less than it did, especially with meats.
I love chicken wings. Chicken wings I spent used to be $19.99 per 10-pound pack. You know how much it was just yesterday? $31. $31.
Timing is everything. If you shop late in the day, you can find discounts on perishable items such as bread, produce, and meat. It's also cheaper to buy in bulk. For instance, russet potatoes were 99 cents a pound and $3.49 for a 5-pound bag. That's $1.46 savings. Buying pre-washed bagged greens, always more expensive, and they're not always 100% clean. And the same goes for grating your own cheddar cheese. Do the muscle work and save the money. Also, look at the lower shelves. More expensive products are eye level or higher. And don't forget the freezer section. Vegetables and produce are flash frozen at peak ripeness, ensuring optimal nutrients when they're defrosted. Studies show that fresh produce loses nutrient value after it sits on a store shelf or refrigerator shelf after just a few days.
A couple more tips. If you are shopping with your family, your kids for instance, you might be coked into buying stuff you really don't need. So try to go it alone. That way, you stick to your list. But if you can't leave your family behind, the best thing to do is to do your shopping online. Ursula Perry, KSAT 12 News.
6:46.
Looks like there's still flashing lights out there at I-10. Let's check back with Stephen Cavazos.
You know, and unfortunately, we may be seeing more of those flashing lights popping up. We'll tell you where in just a second. But I-10 at Dominion, we do still have that 18-wheeler that's been experiencing trouble throughout the entire morning. Make sure to watch out. Check your vehicles before you get out on the road. We're not seeing a slowdown in that direction. But as I mentioned, we are starting to see more flashing lights that are popping up. Let's go ahead and start here. A crash has just came in here off US 281 northbound right there at Asylum. We're not seeing a slowdown in those northbound lanes, but again, watch out for that. We are working with our friends at TransGuide to get us a view of the conditions that are out there, so just make sure to plan ahead. Let's take a drive over here. Big slowdown, 35 southbound at Loop 1604. Lots of red in those southbound lanes of 35. If you're traveling into San Antonio, traffic is moving, but pretty slowly at 12 miles per hour. Let's get that wide view of the map. We are starting to see a few more of those stall icons that are popping up here, but the big issue will be those slowdowns and that crash off 281. Let's go ahead and show you those inbound times. We typically don't show that around this hour, but I really want our friends up in New Braunfels to be prepared. 42 minutes. It's going to take you that long to get to the downtown San Antonio area if you are traveling in those southbound lanes from 35. But again, we are keeping a close eye on things. I-10 at Dominion. Hopefully we'll see some resolution here soon. It's just been a pretty busy morning when it comes to these stalls.
Yes, it has, Stephen. Thank you. I think Justin was listening earlier when I was hoping and praying for all of us that this was the peak of oak pollen season.
Behind you, Justin.
Oof, we're keeping our fingers crossed. So this is a rough estimate here, right? So this is sort of a graph of when we think oak peaks. Typically, it's mid-April, and these yellow bars represent the daily numbers that we've seen so far this year. And you can see we were doing okay through much of March, and then we hit April, and the numbers just shot up. But it was right on cue. I mean, this is when we would typically see the peak of oak season, and hopefully we'll get on the backside of things, and these numbers will start coming down. Yesterday's number was 16,890. And it has a lot of people suffering. Meantime, we also need some rain. It's been 69 days now since we've had a quarter of an inch of rain or more. That was a long while ago. And we've only seen about 4.75 inches since October 28th. So, yes, we're dealing with oak pollen. And yes, we are very much dealing with drought conditions. Thankfully, this morning is really pretty nice. 62 degrees at the airport, 65 Stinson, 62 Kelly, 59 at Randolph, and east-northeasterly winds at about 8 miles per hour at the airport. They're a little gusty earlier. seem to be calming down some. 52 degrees in Kerrville, 60 in Uvalde. We've got some 40s on the map as you get up into Junction and even out towards Ozona where it's 39. The air is really dry up there, and that's allowing those temperatures to drop. Not as dry here, but I think we'll see temperatures hopefully drop a degree or two more before it's all said and done. 59 Helota, 62 at the airport, 59 Randolph, 58, as we said, in New Braunfels, and those dew points are in the 40s. So that it is, yes, pretty dry, but not as dry as what they're dealing with out in West Texas. They've got dew points in the negatives. You don't see that too often. And so the fire concern is still there this afternoon, even if they don't see gusty winds. It's just been so terribly dry. Dew points for us will increase as we get into tonight. So by tomorrow morning, it'll feel a lot more humid. And I think that leads to some morning drizzle, some cloud cover. So be aware for the morning commute tomorrow. Could be a little bit damp. Here's your KSAT 12 hour by hour forecast. 62, 9 o'clock. 72, 11 a.m. By noontime, 76. Winds will try to pick up a little bit this afternoon out of the southeast, though, and that helps to bring in some moisture. 86, your high temperature today. And as we look at the futurecast here, we will see some of that drizzle tomorrow morning, and then by 6 p.m. tomorrow, partly cloudy skies. Then we get into Saturday, clouds early, and by 5 p.m., maybe an isolated storm or two. We're going to put in a 20% chance. It's not great. Best shot is probably north of San Antonio. Then we get a weak boundary in here by Sunday. That may be enough to up our rain chances some. 30% chance on your Easter Sunday, maybe along that boundary. It's going to depend on where it sets up. But your Easter forecast, one thing is for sure, it will be hot and it will be humid. 94, the forecast high for Easter Sunday. Cloudy to start, some sun during the afternoon, and there is that 30% chance of rain. 95 Saturday, by the way, so the weekend in general is going to be hot. Be careful if you plan to spend any length of time outside. 87 Monday, 86 on Tuesday. Maybe another rain chance showing up on Wednesday.
Again, Justin, I like the peeps for the
peeps.
forecast.
The peeps are back.
Peeps are back, and they might be melted on Sunday.
Yeah, that's right.
Peeps just in time for Steph's anniversary today. Happy anniversary again.
Yes, happy anniversary.
Thank you. 10 years went by quick. And coming up later this morning on GMSA at 9, although the Texas legislature has outlawed red light camera programs, tickets keep rolling in for drivers in Balcones Heights.
Sure enough, many people wondering how this program has been allowed to continue. Today at 9, digital journalist Ferris Sabawi is going to be joining us to answer that question on what drivers should do if they receive a ticket in the mail.
That's today on GMSA at 9.
Let's go outside with live cam on your Thursday morning. Thanks for starting your day with us here on GMSA. We'll be right back.
All right, still big problems off 281 at Asylum. Now our friends at TransGuide have been able to get us a shot. It does look like traffic is moving very slowly. And actually, we're seeing it stretch back there in those northbound lanes. Southbound lanes on 281 look A-OK at this hour. But keep in mind that slowdown is starting to build in the northbound lanes right at Asylum, where we do have that crash, Justin. And got to take a quick jump here for our friends out in that are traveling in from Bernie or perhaps New Braunfels. 14 miles per hour in those southbound lanes of 35.
Rough going this morning. Temperatures have just fallen a little bit more. We're down to 60 degrees here in San Antonio. Feels really good out there. It will warm up into the 80s today, but not as hot as yesterday. And we'll see southeasterly winds pick up 5 to 15 this afternoon. 85 tomorrow, more clouds, more humidity. We may start off with a little bit of drizzle and then some small rain chances over Easter weekend, but it will be hot and it will be humid, mid-90s both days.
And again, if you see Stephanie Cerna or her husband Luis today, wish them a happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
You guys have a great evening.
Thanks. We're looking forward to it. Have a great day, and we'll see you back here at 9.